with on the handout. All right, so our approach, just to recap really quick, we have homicide. It's going to be generally 1 or 2 sentences. You can just simply say what the rule is, that it's a killing of one person by another with a criminal intent or bad intent. Then we have common law murder. You set out the 4 different ways for malice aforethought, because common law murder is a killing committed with malice aforethought. You have 4 different ways. You're going to list them out, 1, 2, 3, 4, and make it really attractive and center that. The first one is intent to kill. The second is intent to inflict serious bodily injury. The third is either depraved heart or wantonness or extreme reckless disregard for life, human life. And the fourth is felony murder. So we're borrowing the intent that would have sufficed for the felony to the killing, and then you would talk about felony murder by establishing whatever the underlying felony was, robbery, burglary. Now when you do that, and we haven't looked at those crimes yet, if you have burglary, for example, you would have to make the common law and modern law distinction, because under the common law, burglary has to be what? Okay, what's the definition? Anybody know? Okay, breaking and entering of the dwelling of
another with intent to commit a felony
at nighttime. So breaking and entering into the dwelling of another at the nighttime with the intent to commit a felony therein. So that's the basic common law definition of burglary. So modernly, however, any structure will do, any time of day will do, okay? So a bank would do, and daytime would do. So you just need to make that distinction, and it would happen all right here, okay? It might happen on call number 1 are these 2 co-conspirators, are they co-conspirators, and are they both liable for burglary? So you might have established the underlying felony, and then you say, can Bob and Baker be liable for the murder of the security guard? So now you don't have to really establish it and that you analyze it. You say, as discussed under call number 1, they committed a burglary, and therefore we have the underlying felony murder or felony as the basis for the felony murder, and then you simply state that the killing occurred during the felony and the commission of the felony, and now you have that felony murder met. Then you go to degrees of murder. If you don't have a felony murder discussion, you simply go homicide, common law, malice aforethought, use the 1 or 2 ways that you want to prove that up. Then go to degrees of murder, state that there are first degree murders and second degree murders. First degree is premeditated and deliberate. Any killing that is not considered first degree will be considered second degree unless mitigated down to some form of manslaughter. Our first type of manslaughter is voluntary manslaughter. It's just a good one to start with. That would be a heat of passion killing, and it requires that there's adequate provocation and insufficient cooling time. And then we have involuntary manslaughter, which is the very last thing on our last page of the handout. Involuntary manslaughter is an unintentional homicide committed with criminal negligence. So an example would be an intent to inflict non-serious bodily harm or state of mind one is in when he or she is acting in a way that creates grossly negligent risk of death or great bodily injury. This is now where we get into the idea of the misdemeanor manslaughter rule. One who commits an accidental killing while engaged in a non-dangerous felony or misdemeanor that is malum in se commits involuntary manslaughter. Okay, so we will definitely see at least one essay fact pattern that brings that up. It's kind of a bonus point to even mention misdemeanor manslaughter rule, but it's worth noting. It's kind of like felony murder rule, but it's a killing that occurs during a misdemeanor, and so we consider it misdemeanor manslaughter. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a break. We're going to go back over the detail under felony murder rule because there is quite a bit of detail there, and then we'll move on to some other topics. Any questions about this, or good? It's easy. It's fun, actually.